I want to make Bristol a more inclusive city. This means reducing inequalities, letting all voices be heard, and giving more people a say in how the council is run. My manifesto identifies a number of key policies in relation to education, local democracy, support of disadvantaged groups, and all of which recognise the key role of the voluntary and community sector in making Bristol more inclusive. I also want to make Bristol a healthier city, and my policies on food, healthcare, the arts and sport likewise see a role for these sectors. Bristol is renowned already as a diverse and thriving city. This is in large part due to the many voluntary and community groups, large and small, and I do want to emphasise here the key role played by the small initiatives. They are involved in everything from the arts to homelessness, and they are an important part of my vision for Bristol. But they must add to and not replace the role of the local authority.
Well, my vision for Bristol is of a city that's aspirational, that's prosperous, but inclusive, in which everyone has a part and doesn't leave anyone behind. Within that, my sense of the role of the voluntary sector is first that it delivers in ways and to people that many public and private sectors cannot, or sometimes just do not. So meeting critical need and creating critical opportunity in a city. Secondly, clearly they are of the community. This is a place where ordinary people develop leadership skills. It's a place where people come together and we get that social glue that builds the social resilience, the community resilience that we need for stronger communities that stay together in the face of the kinds of big challenges that we have at the moment. My third sense is actually a bit of a challenge as well, and an ask, that we need to move a bit upstream, and we need our community-based organisations to get much more involved in the decision-making end. That sense is a responsibility on people in positions of power to make sure that's possible. But we need people upstream, shaping the decisions, not just getting involved in dealing with the consequences of bad politics and bad policy, but making sure that our politics and our policy is good at the front end. Maybe working on our voice and influence groups would be a key strategic opportunity there.
My involvement with the community sector in Bristol goes back to 1987 when I worked on a community project in Lawrence Weston. We shared the old doctor's surgery on Long Cross with the Child Poverty Action Group, who had a welfare rights worker based there. Their funding was under threat, so I used our community newsletter to lobby Bristol City Council to get their grant extended for the following year. 10 years later, I needed some help from the community sector and enrolled on a business startup course with CSV in Old Market, Bristol. I've been self-employed ever since, and I've never had to look back thanks to the voluntary sector.
A few years ago I used to work for Bristol City Council as a finance officer in the Community Development Department. I worked alongside people like Ian Quaife, Debbie Clough, John Boss, people that I know Voscur know well. I used to do the budgets and the grant monitoring forms for Voscur and other community groups, and also for the community centres, and I thoroughly enjoyed that job. But I have to say, having seen how the grants are being cut from all of these groups, it really does upset me, especially also with the community centres, places like Malcolm X and the Mead Centre in Knoll, to seeing them losing their grants. That really does upset me, and I pledge that I will do everything as Mayor of Bristol to restore every single one of those grants.
It's as simple as this. Bristol needs to be more inclusive. Everyone deserves access to good housing, education, efficient transport, and most of all, a suitable job. Now, this can't be achieved by the Mayor alone. It's got to be done in partnership, and it needs others working with the Mayor, including the voluntary and community sector. Some of my earliest memories of my parents volunteering for WRVS and St John's Ambulance. It made me realise that volunteering's a two-way process. It's the shared experiences and the ability of the voluntary sector to break down barriers that contributes to my vision of Bristol. The community sector brings people together that may not have otherwise mixed to share experiences and to learn. I believe local knowledge is key to integration. In too many ways, the voluntary sector has been overlooked by politicians in the past, but I see it as absolutely key to a better and more inclusive Bristol.
I'll pay every adult in Bristol an unconditional basic income guarantee of £15,000 a year, every year, index linked to inflation. This is so that you can do stuff that you're passionate about just for the love of it. You'll receive this unconditional basic income whether you're working, non-working or retired, and if you earn extra money doing this stuff just for the love of it, then that's an added bonus. The voluntary sector is an inspiring, brilliant example of the gift economy in action. People doing stuff they feel passionate about just for the love of it. And giving all Bristolians an unconditional basic income guarantee of £15,000 a year will lead to more people choosing to contribute to this most valuable sector of society. Thank you.
I'm John Rogers and I'm hoping to be Bristol's first elected mayor in November. I've been asked by Voscur to say a few words just about how important the voluntary and community sector is to Bristol and its residents. I've been a councillor for 7 years but have been a GP for 30 years, and I've seen firsthand just how useful and how productive voluntary sector and community sector organisations can be in delivering health and well-being to the people of Bristol. I've been involved in setting up the Health and Wellbeing Board, which brings together councillors, GPs, voluntary sector organisations, patient representatives, carer representatives, as well as professionals like the Director of Public Health. We spend well over £1 billion on health and social care services in Bristol, and I'm convinced that we can spend that more wisely. We're a rich city, but we're a city of unequals, we're a city of rich and poor, and we can address that both through our policies in the council, but also by supporting the good quality voluntary sector organisations. I want to do my part in that, and I would like to help you deliver better services for our residents. Thank you.
I've always had a strong belief in the great value of public service. I was a pioneer of adventure play in Bristol. I'm president of the Avon Youth Association and a trustee of a Bristol care home. I served on Bristol's great community foundation quartet. And all my work in Bristol has been driven by a desire to make this city a better place. I count myself as a social and cultural entrepreneur. I want to be your independent mayor so that I can be a voice for the voluntary sector. I want to champion the voluntary sector, and I want to ensure that we work together to make Bristol a fairer, more caring city, a more inclusive city, and one that we can all feel proud of being part of. Thank you.